Welcome back, students. Welcome to Priya's Lifescience Academy. This is your educator Priya. Today I will teach you a very important lesson, that is the basics of genetics. This will be helpful for those who are studying in UG PG courses, also for the aspirants of CSIR NET Life Science, ICMR, NEET, Get Life Science. Okay, so pay attention and listen carefully. And before starting, we already know that who is the father of the genetics, students? Yes, you guessed right. That is Gregor Johann Mendel is the father of the genetics. So, students, have you ever wondered that why we look like our parents? Why we look similar to them? Why we are so similar to them? What is the main thing that we inherit from them that we look alike? So, here is the answer. We inherit the germ cells from our parents, and inside the germ cells there contains the genes from our parents. Okay, so from father sperm comes, from mother ovum comes, and when they meet they form the fertilized egg, which is also known as zygote, and from the zygote mature human is produced, that is us. And we inherit the genes that is inside the sperm cells, inside the ovum. That is why we are so similar to them. Okay, so these are known as germ cells, the gametes. Sperm and ovum are also known as the gametes or germ cells because they fuse and produce zygote, and from zygote the mature humans are produced. Okay. And these are known as somatic cells. Somatic cells are known as the bodily cells, like the cells of our skin, the cells of our liver, kidney, etc. Fat cells, okay, neurons. These are the somatic cells or bodily cells. These cells do not inherit, okay. The inherited cells are the germ cells. Parents give us the germ cells, and germ cells are inherited into our body. That is why we look similar to them. Okay. Now we will see what is inside these germ cells or gametes that we inherit. You can see inside the cell there is nucleus, and inside the nucleus there are chromosomes. Okay, so inside the cell there are chromosomes, and in the chromosomes there are DNA, you know, and in DNA there is gene. What is gene? Gene is the functional unit of DNA. Okay, functional unit of DNA is a gene. This is the main important thing that we inherit. That is why we look similar. So inside the cell there are chromosomes, inside the chromosomes there are DNA, and in the DNA the functional unit of DNA is the gene that we inherit from our parents. So what is genes? Units of inheritance usually occurring at specific locations or loci on a chromosome. So this is the unit of inheritance. So we inherit gene from our parents, and that is why we look similar to them. So the basic unit of inheritance is gene, and they occur at specific locations on the chromosome, that is known as the locus or loci. Plural is loci and singular is locus. Physically, a gene is a sequence of DNA bases that we know that specify the order of amino acids in a protein. Genes are responsible for the hereditary traits in plants and animals. So what does the gene do? Genes are nothing but the specific sequence of the nucleotides, and you have read the central dogma, that is from DNA RNA is produced, from RNA protein is produced, and you know what is protein? Proteins are nothing but the stretches of amino acids together. Okay, and these amino acids, they are responsible for the generation of specific traits or characteristics features in our body. Okay, for example, you can see this is a chromosome, and here is the location of one gene. Here is the location of one gene. This is known as the locus, or in plural loci. So this gene is responsible for the eye color. Okay, this gene is responsible for the brown eye color. So this is known as the trait. Trait is what? Trait is known as features or characteristics. Okay, there are some terminologies which you have to learn for learning genetics, that is trait or features or characteristics. So this gene is responsible for which trait or which feature or which characteristic? That is the producing brown eye color, okay? And this gene is responsible for hair color. So this hair color is hazel hair color. So I hope you understood that what are genes? We inherit the genes from our parents, and they are responsible for producing particular traits in our body. Like my hair is black, so I have inherited the gene for black hair color from my parents. My color of the eyeball is a brown and black mixture, so that color is inherited from my parents. So genes are nothing but they produce the specific characteristics in our body, okay? Now we will see that what are the kinds of cells in our body. We have seen that there are two types of cells: somatic cells, germ cells. Somatic cells are the cells, they are inherited to us. Okay, based on ploidy, there are two types of cells. Ploidy means number of pair of chromosome present. Okay. Haploid cell, that is N, diploid cell 2N. So in this case, each gene is present in double dose. So each gene is present in double dose means there are one pair of chromosome. Okay, one pair means two. So in case of haploid, there is a single pair of chromosomes and single pair of gene. And in case of diploid, there are one pair of. So in case of haploid, you will see one single chromosome, and one single chromosome is a single copy of the gene. And in case of diploid, you can see one pair, that means two chromosomes, and two chromosome means two copies of the gene. Okay, so this is the difference between haploid and diploid. So in haploid cells, you will see each chromosome present in single copy, and in each chromosome each single copy of the gene will be present. And in case of diploid cell, you will see two copies of the chromosome present, and in two copies of the chromosome, two genes will be there. Okay, so this is the case of diploid and haploid cell. All of our somatic cells are diploid in nature. Okay, somatic cells are diploid in nature, but haploid cells, the kinds of haploid cells are, yes, you guessed right, the gametes. The gametes are the haploid, or gametes are the germ cells. That is, in male it is sperm and in female it is ovum. They are N, that is, they are haploid. That is why haploid sperm and haploid ovum, when they make 2N diploid organism. Okay, haploid sperm and haploid ovum, when they meet, they produce diploid organism. That is why in our body we have two copies of each chromosome, and inside two copies of each chromosome there are two copies of each gene. Okay, that is why we are diploid organisms. But when we produce gametes, like in case of female we produce ovum, and in case of males they produce sperm, our gametes are haploid in nature, because they contain single chromosomes. Okay, and inside single chromosome there is a single copy of each gene. Now we will learn another form, another terminology, that is allele. Very, 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 very important. Okay, so as I said, there are in our body there are two copies of each chromosome, and inside two copies of each chromosome there are two copies of gene, and not necessarily that each gene copy is similar. Likewise, here is, suppose this is the gene, this is the homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosome means like this is chromosome 3, and homologous means this is chromosome 3's first part and this is chromosome 3's second part or another part. We know we have two copies of each chromosome. Like we have total 46 chromosomes. That means haploid it is 23. So 23 plus 23, 46. So like first chromosome we have 2 copy, second chromosome we have 2 copy. So like this, 23 into 2, 46. We have total 46 chromosome because each chromosome contains 2 copies. Likewise, for example, this is chromosome 3, and chromosome 3 has 2 chromosomes, so these are known as homologous chromosome. Homologous, we will come to this point later. Homo means same, so for chromosome 3 there are 2 copies. Okay, and in the 2 copies I have said that there are 2 genes present, and both of the genes are not always similar. They are alternative forms of each other. That is why these are known as alleles. Alleles are nothing but the alternative form of a gene that occurs at the same locus on homologous chromosome. They are occurring at the same locus on the homologous chromosome. So these genes may have some base pair changes in their sequence. That is why they are not similar. They are alternative forms of each other. So that is why these capital B or small b are alleles of each other. So not each gene present on the homologous chromosome are same in nature. They can be different. That is why they are called as alleles. They are called as alleles. They will be present on the same locus on the homologous chromosome, and they are known as alleles, capital B, small b. So we know that we have 2 copies of each chromosome. One is coming from father and one is coming from mother. Like for example, this let's suppose this has inherited from father and this has inherited from mother. Okay, and inside the gene there is a inside the chromosome there are genes. For example, this is the gene for hair color. One hair color is inherited from father, one hair color gene is inherited from mother, and you can see the paternal hair color gene is somewhat gray and the maternal hair color gene is somewhat deep blue. So these 2 genes are not similar in nature. So these 2 genes will be called alleles of each other. These two genes are alleles because they are not similar in nature. They have some changes because one is coming from father, one is coming from mother. So how can be they so similar? They are different from each other. They are similar genes, but they are different forms of the genes. Okay, that is why they are known as alleles of each other. This is your chromosome, that like this is my chromosome. One, for example, this is chromosome 3. Chromosome 3's one part is coming from father, chromosome 3's another part is coming from mother, and inside the chromosome 3, suppose there is a presence of hair color gene. The hair color gene from father's side is somewhat gray, the hair color gene from mother's side somewhat blue, and these 2 genes are not so much similar to each other. So these are known as alleles of each other. I hope you understood the basics of alleles, that alleles are genes, but they are alternative forms of the genes, and they are present on the homologous chromosome on the same locus in the chromosomes. Okay, I hope you understood. If you have any queries, any problems related to any of my lectures I have posted so far, you can mail me in the mail ID given below. Okay. Now students, coming to the types of alleles, we have understood what are alleles, that alleles are the alternative forms of the genes. Now we have to understand the types of alleles. What is dominant allele, what is recessive allele? Students, here you can see this is the purple color flower denoted by capital P, capital P. This is white color flower denoted by small p, small p. Okay, and this is the parental class. When they are crossed, they are producing the F1 generation. These are the offspring. Offspring are all purple in color. And what is their genotype? Capital P small p, capital P small p, capital P small p, capital P small p. Okay, so this purple color flower has capital P allele. This white color flower has small p allele. When we write allele in this type, we call it as genotype. I will come to the genotype and phenotype later. But what is the point here? I want you to understand that when they are crossed, they have produced all purple colored flowers. Even if they have one capital P and one small p, that means what? Capital P is dominant over small p. It is not allowing the small p's phenotype to be expressed. Okay, because capital P is responsible for purple color. Here you have seen from the picture, and small p is responsible for white color. But when capital P and small p are together, the flowers are of purple color. White color is not present. That means the purple color allele is dominant over the small p allele. So this allele is known as dominant allele. Okay, so an allele that masks the presence of a recessive allele of the phenotype. Capital P allele is masking the phenotype. Phenotype means what we see from outside. The color is known as the phenotype. Okay, what we see from outside. So capital P allele is masking the presence of the small p allele. And dominant alleles for a trait are usually expressed if an individual is homozygous dominant or heterozygous. This is one very, very important point. Okay, because you can see here the phenotype, they are produced in case of homozygous condition, also in case of heterozygous condition. I will come to this term as well. Homozygous means when two similar alleles are present, and heterozygous means in this class you will get to know all the basic terms of genetics. Okay, that's why I am telling you to listen carefully. And this is heterozygous. So homo means same because same two alleles are present. Hetero means different. Two different alleles are present. And the important point is that in case of dominant allele, even if they are present in a single dose, they will be expressed. Okay, they are expressed in homozygous condition as well. They are expressed in heterozygous condition as well. Okay, that is why we have seen that the capital P small p allele, they are also purple in color. Okay, so for dominant allele, homozygous and heterozygous forms will be expressed because capital P will be purple and capital P small p flower will also be purple because capital P is dominant over small p. That is why capital P is known as dominant allele. So in case of, you have to remember that in case of dominant allele, the homozygous and heterozygous forms both will be expressed. Okay. But recessive allele, what we can see, an allele that is masked in the phenotype by the presence of a dominant allele. You can see that capital small p's phenotype is masked by the capital P. Recessive alleles are expressed in the phenotype when genotype is homozygous recessive. Okay, so white flowers will only be observed when they are present in homozygous condition. Okay, homo means same. You can see here small p, and here white flower is only seen when there is a small p genotype. So whenever there is a small p, that is whenever there is a homozygous genotype condition, there will only be expression of the phenotype, that is then the flower will be white. So white flower will only be expressed when the genotype is small p, that is homozygous. Okay, I hope you have understood what is it. So dominant allele and recessive allele. Capital P is the dominant allele, small p is the recessive allele. Capital P will be purple. Capital P small p will also be purple because capital P is dominant over small p. And the recessive allele, the white colored flower, will only be expressed when there is a small p genotype. Okay. So now we have to learn about the homozygous and heterozygous condition. I have told you that we have 2 chromosomes for each gene, and if each gene's alleles are similar in nature, they are known as homozygous. Okay, here you can see that, for example, these two are chromosome number 1 and these 2 chromosomes gene are present here. These are the alleles of each other, capital A. These two are same. Okay, that is 2 identical alleles of a gene for a particular trait. Individuals who are homozygous for a trait are called homozygotes. So here you can see the similar alleles are present on each chromosome. That is why they are known as homozygous. And in this case also, suppose this is chromosome number 2, and in case of chromosome number 2, both of the chromosome pair having the small a allele. That is why they are also known as homozygous. And the individuals who are homozygous for a trait are called homozygotes. Chromosomes are known as homozygous and individuals are known as homozygotes. Okay, and the different is the case, that is suppose this is chromosome number 3, and in each chromosome pair their alleles are different. Here it is capital A allele, here it is small a allele. So these type of chromosomes are known as heterozygous chromosomes, and for these as well, here is the presence of small a, here is the presence of capital A. Suppose this is chromosome number 4, so this type of chromosomes are known as heterozygous chromosomes, and individuals who have heterozygous for a trait, who are heterozygous for a trait, are known as heterozygotes. Individuals are known as heterozygotes. So I hope you have understood what is homozygous, heterozygous. So I want you to clear the point, and what is homologous chromosome also. So you can see homologous chromosome means we all have homologous chromosomes. Like these two are homologous chromosomes, these two are homologous chromosomes, these two homologous chromosomes, these two homologous chromosome. Homologous chromosome means two pairs of similar chromosomes we have. Okay, we have, sorry, two pair, not one pair. One pair means two. So we have homologous chromosome means we have two copies of each chromosomes. That's why homologous chromosome. But inside the two homologous chromosomes, if the alleles are of similar nature, they will be called as homozygous chromosome. And if the alleles are of different nature or alternative type of form, they will be known as heterozygous. Okay, I hope you understood that we have two copies of each chromosome. That is why we are homologous. But inside the homologous chromosome, if both genes are similar, if both alleles are similar, they will be known as homologous. And inside the homologous chromosome, if both alleles are different, small a, capital A, they will be called as heterozygous. Okay, I hope you understood what is homologous, homozygous and heterozygous. And one thing I want you to know, like the type we write the alleles of chromosomes, like capital A, small a, capital A, small a, capital A. This writing type is known as the genotype, that where we express the forms of the alleles of a gene. Okay, so this is known as genotype. And based on genotype, we can see the phenotype that is expressed. Genotype is internal, that what kind of gene, what kind of alleles I have, that is internal. But phenotype that we can see, I have shown you that capital P, that was the genotype of the flower. Okay, so what is genotype? I hope you understood. Like the type we express the alleles of a particular trait. The type we express the alleles of a particular trait is known as genotype. But what we can see for capital P, we can see the purple color. Okay, the purple color, that is the phenotype. So phenotype can be seen from outside, that is external, and genotype is internal. Okay, I hope you understood, students. So here are some of the examples of homozygous dominant, heterozygous recessive. So here you can see for brown eyes here, that is capital E alleles are responsible. Okay, and heterozygous form also brown eyes present. So from here what you can clarify that capital E allele is dominant over small e. Capital E allele is responsible for brown eyes. That is why in case of homozygous condition and in case of heterozygous condition, in both the condition the person has brown eye. So this is known as homozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant means both are capital E, and it is heterozygous dominant, that is capital E small e. Capital E is dominant over small e. So capital E is responsible for brown eyes. From this kind of thing, you can understand that which allele is responsible for which thing, which characteristics. Because here if capital E is a brown eye and capital E small e also brown eye, so you can understand that capital E is responsible for the brown eye color and it is dominant over small e. Now here you can see small e is responsible for blue eyes. So, and when blue eyes are expressed, when capital E is present in homozygous condition. Okay, capital E must be in homozygous condition to express its phenotype. So that is the difference between dominant and recessive allele. Dominant allele, if present in a single dose also, they will be expressed, but to express a recessive allele, you need both of the copies. Okay, you need both of the copies to express as a recessive allele. That is why capital E is producing brown eye color and small e is producing blue eye color. Okay, so to express blue eye color, you need to have 2 copies of the small e. Otherwise, the blue eyes will not be expressed, because blue eye will be dominated by the capital E, that is brown eyes. Okay. Now this part, genotype and phenotype, I have already given you the idea, but I want to give you a detailed idea of genotype and phenotype. The genotype is an organism's genetic information. I have told you that to describe the trait of organism by its allele is known as genotype. Like I want to express the genotype of purple colored flower. If I want to express genotype of purple color flower, what I will write? I will write it's both allele, capital P or capital P small p, because both of them can produce the purple colored flower. So the genotype is an organism's genetic information, that what alleles organism possesses. Okay, for example, homozygous capital B also, heterozygous capital, here they are written as capital B, here it is written as capital B small b, but you can denote it as capital P small p. And phenotype is the set of the observable physical traits. What trait we are observing, that is the phenotype. Okay, so for the genotype purple, this is the genotype for purple, this is the genotype, this also can be the genotype of purple, but what is the phenotype? The phenotype is the purple color flower. What is the phenotype? The phenotype is the purple color flower. And this is the genotype of white color flower. What is the phenotype? Phenotype is white. So this is the genotype. Genotype is nothing but to represent the genetic information, the types of alleles the organism possesses. And what is phenotype? Phenotype is the observation, what we observed by having this kind of alleles. Okay, so genotype refers to an individual's genetic potential, what kind of alleles he or she carries, and phenotype refers to the traits an individual actually shows. By the presence of the genotype, what traits an individual actually shows, that refers to its phenotype. I hope, students, you have understood the basics of genetics very nicely. If you have any queries, you can post it in the mail ID that is given below. I wish all of you happy learning. I will be back with the next part with the Mendelian genetics. Okay. Thank you so much, students, for listening. All the best to all of you.